So, something about this supposed asteroid they call Apophis, or the god of destruction and chaos, does not sit right with me. Matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I made a video saying just that something about Apophis does not sit right with me. Now, in that video, I had stated that this Apophis might not be an asteroid. It could be something else altogether. It could be a rocket, it could be a nuke, disguised as an asteroid. Now you might be saying, Minutes of Horror, how can they do that? But they can do a lot with holographic technology in the skies. We will not even be able to see Apophis until around 2027, when it's, as coincidence may have it, a lot closer to the Earth. I had also said in that video, are they targeting a specific location and they are going to blame it on an asteroid strike? This video is not a round earth, flat earth debate, neither is it a space is real, space is fake debate, but it's about repetition, scripts, narratives being used by the media and the powers that be. And we know when they are getting a script together, when they are showing repetition in the media, something is indeed in the works, and it's usually never good. I had made that video warning Apophis asteroid hitting Earth is a lie 12 days ago. Now, according to my search engine, some rather interesting news started to come out after I made that video a few days later. We started to get news that Earth will acquire a second moon, which they dub 2024 PT5. The reason why I made that video happened to be because I noticed some repetition from news and media that Apophis may have a higher chance of hitting the Earth on Friday the 13th, 2029. And the reason why they give it a higher chance of hitting the Earth, or why researchers give it a higher chance of hitting the Earth, is due to a smaller object colliding into Apophis. Then 1 week after they give Apophis a higher chance of hitting the Earth due to a chance of it colliding with a smaller object, we get news reports that Earth will acquire a second moon, that this object will orbit around the Earth for about 58 days, and you have to ask yourself, how do they know that? But this smaller object is around 33 feet in length. Interesting numerology, 33 feet, 33 degrees. So we can already tell just by the numerology alone, this is all by design, and we know who the manufacturers are. That just happens to be a rather big coincidence, that we are getting news that they are giving Apophis a higher chance of hitting the Earth due to a chance that Apophis could collide with a smaller object, and then a week after this news, we are being told that out of nowhere, Earth is getting a smaller object that will be orbiting its atmosphere. Now, I know what some of you may be saying, this mini moon, this mini asteroid, they dub PT5 2024 or 2024 PT5, will arrive this September, and it'll only be there in Earth's orbit for 58 days. So it will leave by the time Apophis arrives. But again, they could always change up the narrative. They have done so in the past. They could always say that this thing they dub the mini moon is now going to be there permanently. Or it could last in Earth's orbit for another 2, 3, 4 years, just in time for Apophis' supposed arrival. Now, I bet you anything, if this is the case, we are now going to see stories coming out that PT5 2024 may be on a collision course with Apophis. If it hits Apophis, then Apophis will be on a collision course with Earth. Isn't it also just a funny, crazy coincidence that NASA happened to shoot off 3 rockets into the atmosphere during the 2024 solar eclipse under a project they call Apophis, the god of destruction and chaos? So NASA has 3 rockets they named Apophis after an asteroid that has a very high chance of hitting the Earth if it were to collide with a smaller object. And this asteroid that has a good chance of hitting the Earth just happens to be named the god of destruction and chaos. Well, the powers that be already know that this has been scripted together. And like I said, I wouldn't doubt one bit that this is a false flag, that this is a giant nuke, some type of weapon that they are disguising as an asteroid. And the powers that be, certain powers that be, already know this. This is why we have billionaires building these underground bunkers, these fabulous, massive underground bunkers, because they know something is in the works. Even Diddy himself has a massive underground bunker beneath his home, and I wouldn't doubt one bit that this is where he is currently hiding. So Apophis itself isn't that big. It's only 1,100 feet. Yes, that's big, but it's not considered a planet killer. But it could be something that could take out a couple states or two. Something the size of a couple states. Perhaps a whole country. Even the numerology behind Apophis is rather interesting. This is why, again, we know this is a script. It is said it will arrive to Earth on Friday the 13th, 2029. But we have been conditioned to know that Friday the 13th is associated with bad luck and bad things. Now, Apophis also has a numbered name as well, which happens to be 99942. There happens to be something rather interesting behind this number. Let's take a look at the number 42. 42 is very significant in Kabbalistic tradition. 42 is the number with which God creates the universe in Kabbalistic tradition. In Kabbalah, the most significant name is that of Ein Sof, also known as infinite or endless, who is above the Sephirot, sometimes spelled Sephiroth. The Masons also take a lot from the Kabbalah. A lot of their rituals come from the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah also delves into Saturnalia worship and the worship of Saturn, which also connects to Abaddon, the destroyer. The Kabbalah also follows the principles of as above, so below. So if we look right next to the number 42, we will also see the number 999. But that 999, as above, so below, is in actuality 666. So we have 666, and then we have the number of the Kabbalah. So we have 666, but what is Apophis? Apophis is the snake. It is the destroyer. In Egyptian mythology, Apophis is basically Satan. So we have all these coincidences coming together, and we're just supposed to believe that this is just a normal, natural asteroid making its way to Earth, where it might now collide with a smaller object that happens to be exactly 33 inches or 33 feet in length. It happens to connect directly with the number 33. This is nothing more than manufactured chaos. And again, if you're asking, is the asteroid in the Illuminati card game, which happens to eerily quote-unquote predict future events, even though they are just telling us what they're doing ahead of time when it comes to this card game? Yes, there is. Like I had said in that previous video, this is not an asteroid per se. It's called a meteor strike, but it's still in that same ballpark. But again, the description of this card is rather interesting. It reads, disaster. This is an instant attack to destroy any place. Just look at the wording that this description of this card happens to use. An attack on a certain location. Why would they label a meteor strike as an attack? So we just have one too many quote-unquote coincidences coming together for my liking. And like I said in the beginning of the video, with all these coincidences coming together, and now we have this smaller object in Earth's orbit, and who knows, like I said, if it's really going to leave in 58 days, this whole Apophis asteroid just does not sit right with me. In that video, I had stated that I can't help but think that New York is the target of this supposed asteroid or this nuke. And there were a couple of you that said that you had seen recently in music videos and other media that New York is on flames after being targeted by an asteroid. Now, as coincidence may have it, NASA was also running simulations a what if an asteroid were to target New York. What is rather interesting, now remember that Apophis is the god of chaos and destruction. NASA again has 3 rockets and a rocket program called Apophis. Well, in New York just recently, there were news articles coming out in September around the same time as this whole Ohio pet situation that there were animal sacrifices on the rise in Queens with chickens, pigs, and other animals being used in rituals. But what's actually different in New York as opposed to Ohio is that several rescuers of these animals being used in these rituals and a local religious leader suggested that these rituals were linked to a sect of Hindu devotees who worship the goddess Kali and have practiced animal sacrifice in the area. Now, in Hinduism, Kali is the goddess of destruction and dissolution. Isn't that such an interesting coincidence? So we have these sacrifices being linked to a goddess of destruction, and we have this asteroid once again known as the god of destruction. So again, it really makes me wonder if New York is the target of this nuke program they call Apophis, which they are saying is nothing more than an asteroid. You never ever know. But if you look further into this, if you look deeper, if you go deeper into the rabbit hole, you will find a lot more coincidences between New York, Apophis, and nukes. Some rather interesting developments are taking place, and I will be following up more on this story. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.